Life. Okay. Hello. Welcome to the show tonight. So glad to have you on here. Hi, Tosi. Thank you. You always come on time. Hello, Nikki Show. Thank you for joining, ladies. Good evening. How are you? I hope you're good. I hope you've had a lovely Saturday. It's been an amazing day. I mean, there's been a lot happening. I can see my guest is online as well. Mr. Flat, do you want to request? Yes, so he's right here. The guest. So everyone, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for coming on board with us tonight. It shall be great. Hey, Mr. Flat, why are you wearing blue?
Why you calling Mr. Flat?
Oh my goodness! Don't worry.
Hold on.
I'm going to tell everyone where I got this Mr. Flat from. So don't worry about it. Good evening.
So why did you say I'm wearing blue first? Actually, why did you say why am I wearing? Why did you say why I'm wearing blue? Oh, because you're wearing.
Yeah, because I'm wearing blue.
Memo. That's why I got the memo.
Yes, I sent the memo out and you got it. So well done to you, Grace. I know that must be your handiwork. But yeah. Believe me. Thank you so much for coming. Ladies and gentlemen on the call, thank you for joining. It's been an amazing day today. There's just been so much happening. We've heard the US election results. You know, people are sad, people are happy, but you know what? We're just good. We're fine. You know, like we don't worry about those things. We know that the will of God will be done anyway. So whatever it is, we are happy with it. Thank you all so much for joining, and thank you for being on time as well. Yes, thanks, sis. Thank you. See, I got the memo from you as well. So
look at my hair.
Oh,
look at my hair now.
No one can see your hair. No one can see your hair. No one can see your hair, please. Yes. Thank you everyone for joining. So, Mr. Flat. All right, guys. Before I start, I have to tell you about this my Mr. Flat. So in my household, we call him Mr. Flat. I don't know where my husband got the name from. So he's probably the only guy that we know that is so fit. I mean, like, he is so slim. And one day Philip just called him Mr. Flat, and that name just stuck like that. So we call him Mr. Flat. But I'm going to do the proper introduction and let you know what his name is and who he is actually. So this is Mr. Flat. Well, no, let's start again. So this is Adewale David, right? And he is known as Mr. Flat. Hold on, when I finish my own introduction, you can introduce yourself the way you want yourself to be introduced. So the way I call him Mr. Flat, and he's such an amazing guy. I mean, it's not because you're on the live with me tonight. It's just because that is who you are. Really, you are an amazing guy. Our family and his family have become good friends, and so he has two lovely girls, and his woman is on the you start seeing her handiwork. She'll start rooting for her husband soon. But yeah, so glad to have you tonight, David. It's honestly, I'm glad that you agreed to do this, you know, because you're one person in this event, this property industry that I can give my money to and go to bed. And I'm sure we'll get into that because I have got a personal story that I can share. All right, Grace, calm down, right? It's not only your baby on this life. Okay.
My wife is.
He has not even started saying anything yet. You already say, go baby, going, where is he going to? Please. Anyway, so yeah, so thank you so much. Thank you for coming. So David is here tonight from the Hellsworth Properties, and trust me, this guy is loaded. Mr. Flat, please just tell the people about yourself.
Thank you very much, Blanley, for that introduction. I'm going to do my own introduction myself. Anyway, that's how I'm doing it. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. And what Bolali said actually is true. We are family, friends now, so we work together and all of that. So Bolale is actually a very good friend with Oga. I call the husband Oga Philip, and because he's Oga, you understand now. So that's good. So they're lovely people. Thank you for having me on here. So my full name actually is not. It's Adewale. I have to go there now.
Oh my God.
My full name is Adewale David Adewale. So it's a double barrel. So Adewale is my first name. My middle name is David, and my last name is also Adewale. So it's Adewale David Adewale.
Why do you have to have a name that confuses someone like that?
It doesn't confuse. It's my dad now. My dad's name is also Adewale. So Adewale Junior. You see that? There you go. So it's like Martin Luther King two or whatever it is. So Adewale, whatever it is. But my own is not two. My own is one. My own is unique.
Yours is one.
So of course.
Awesome, awesome. I like that. So his own is very unique. It is one. So yeah, go on, Mr. Fly. I'm just trying to pin the conversation so that people that join in later can see what we're discussing.
Great. Yeah. So so as Bibi has actually said as well, so it's all about property we're going to be talking about. So all right, my background, actually, how did I get into property? I can actually say that. Actually, I can say it's my mom. My mom started off this property thing into me, because I remember growing up then. My mom, she always say something, cars will last you only for a certain time. Make sure that you enjoy, buy property, invest property and everything. She was also into jewelry, like gold, like many African women do, but she was really big on house. So when she was building a house, and when other people, all our friends were building a house, I would go there. I'll play with the all these people that the bricklayers and all the surveyors and everything. So I just go around the whole thing, just play around with them as well. So that was there. She was. I didn't even know. I just was living it. So that was. I believe that was how the journey started. In that property. So when I came into the country as well, that was the first thing I was actually looking to do. So I was in school, but at the same time I was like property, and So, but after a while, I think for some time it actually died down a bit, because obviously when you are doing something, you have to be surrounded with people of like mind. So then the fire started up again when two of my friends said we came together and we started this company called Elso Property. So I'm not the only director of Elso Property. So we're three of us on that. We're going to be talking about that later as well, to talk about what we're going to be doing later on that. So
fantastic.
That's our
Thank you for saying that, because you know what, when I was thinking about all this property issues that already, whenever you hear that word, oh, I want to buy a property, or I want to go into property investment, right? It's like, it sounds so daunting. It sounds so like, okay, do you know what? I mean, I remember when I first came to this country, I thought that to buy a property in this country, I would literally need to have a minimum of £100,000. Don't ask me where I got that information from, because I can't even remember. But it was more of, how people, it was like a big deal. It was like, oh, you get a property, whether it is your own property that you want to live in, or the buy to let, and I thought, okay, I mean, as a then, how much was I earning? Then how many years would I have to work for before I can actually save £100,000 to buy my first property? So it was a lot of like, I don't think this is real. I don't think, well, just keep working. And as opposed to looking into buying properties in the UK, you start thinking of, oh, by the time I save some money, £2,000, it costs maybe 1 million naira or something like that. That 1 million naira, I can use it to go and build one house or buy one land in Nigeria and all. So you don't get to actually look around you to see the opportunities here. So I know that there are people on this call tonight that would like to know, in terms of, because we titled this A Simple Approach, you understand? So, and it's that simplicity that I want us to talk about tonight. So first of all, in terms of, so let's put it into two different segments, right? So the first segment will be on owning a property. So this will be addressing people who are first-time buyers. they haven't bought
Yeah.
property before. This is their first time, right? So now they want to buy a property. What is the process for first-time buyers? And also, when you're answering that, please remember the stamp duty holiday that is on at the moment. Who are the people that will be eligible for that?
Yeah, great. So, so you know what you touched on earlier, about people buying property and you don't really know have an idea, on how to go about it. You know, I had a consultation with one of my potential clients today, and I was sharing the same thing with him. I said, when you want to buy a car, for example, or you ladies or even men, you want to go get something, you go to the shop, right? And when you have lot of your spot with lots of choice, and you're not really sure which one to decide, you get like the salesperson that is in that store that you're trying to buy if you go for a car, you want to go to a car, you go to the car showroom and everything. You have some sales that are there, and those people will be the ones that you need to work with, right? They will then more simplify things for you, so that it will make the journey of you making your decision about which one to choose easier for you. It's nothing it's the same thing with property. So when you go to a car shop, you are willing to take advice from sales first. You want to do the same thing with your or whatever it is, and size. It's the same with property as well. But the only thing with property is that people tend to just go into it and just I want to buy property, thinking I don't need an expert to go through it. But thank you, BB, for organizing this so we can get something. And I understand we might have a wide range of different people watching tonight as well. So when you want to buy property as a first-time buyer, now the word first-time buyer is quite it's not what you would think that first-time buyer means. And that's the way the way it happens in UK tends to kind of like want to put their own terms and conditions and try to put some hidden things behind anything. So don't just buy things from face value and say first-time buyer. First-time buyer based on UK means you have never actually owned any property before. You've never owned any property that, as a home, not really. You can actually, you can have a property, commercial property. If you have a commercial property,
the ones that you buy to let.
Yeah, so even have your commercial property, right? If you have any commercial property like shops or anything like that, you buy them to let, you are still going to be termed as a first-time buyer, right? The only clause there is if that commercial property now has like a flat attached to it. You know, when you have shops and on top of it you now have flats or something like that, you are not going to be called first-time buyer, even if you don't live in the house, right? So it's clear. It's very important to understand what first-time buyer means, because there's no point in me explaining to you what first-time buyer is, and you actually leave this conversation and thinking that I'm a first-time buyer because at least I've not had my house before. Meanwhile, you've actually had a home before, or not a property which is commercial property with a flat on it. Even if you don't live in it, you are no longer a first-time buyer, right? So it's when you have a property and it's a home for you, right? You are a first-time buyer, right? And that's, you can Google this and you'll find more details about it.
So when you have a property and it's a home for you, or when you don't have a property that is a home for you, then that means, so let's say for instance, I bought a property, right? And it's a commercial property. So it's a shop. Let's say it's a shop and it doesn't have any flat on it or anything. I am still classified as a first-time buyer.
As a first-time buyer, yes.
Right? Okay. So it's when I have bought a property that I've lived in or that I'm living in as my home, then I am no longer a first-time buyer. So a first-time buyer basically is you don't have any property that you're living in or that you've lived in and you owned it. But you can have a shop, a rented shop. That you
as long as that shop does not have a flat attached to it, which you own.
Okay, yes. So what if you know most of these shops, right? Most of these shops that we see on the high streets and all, most of them do have like flats above them. So, and the flats are not necessarily owned by the shop owners.
Then you are a first-time buyer then.
So
if you only own the shop, you are still a first-time buyer.
So
then.
if you only own the shop, not the flat above it, you are a first-time buyer.
Yeah, first-time buyer.
Okay, so now thank you for clarifying that, because I think it is important for people to understand the difference between a first-time buyer. I mean, I didn't know this. I'm actually just finding out right now that you could have a shop, like a commercial property, and you still be a first-time buyer. I didn't know that. So thank you for that. So in terms of the chancellor announced on the news recently about the stamp duty holiday for the first-time buyers, right? So what does that mean? And what is I mean, if you have the figures that you can use for us to kind of to understand it better. Yeah.
Sure. So when you're buying property in the UK, there is tax everywhere in the UK. I mean, if it's possible to tax you, tax us for breathing the air, it will be done.
That's how
so there's tax. So and that's the mindset people need to kind of like get used to, especially when you're coming from Africa, where you might not be used to tax, and there's a way you do things. You just buy land and you build it. No, everybody's happy. It's not like that in the UK, right? There's something called stamp duty now, which is tax, right? So when you're buying property, the process of buying property, obviously, you don't just have the cash. I say I've got, let's say, property for £50,000, for example.
Yeah.
I've got the cash. I go and buy property like that. I just walk into the bank. I find the owner and give the person £50,000. No, there's nothing like that. You have to have a conveyancer. That's a solicitor.
Yeah.
That you the money to, they do all the checks, anti-money laundering checks, to just show that the money is legit and everything.
Yeah.
And they will be the one that will take your money, right? And they also will be the one that they'll go through the process of the purchase for you, making sure that everything is done, all the checks, including the stamp duty, is paid, right? They pay it. You don't pay it from yourself, to the landlord directly. No, they ensure that everything is done legally. Right. So for the stamp duty, for example, now, so initially, before the pandemic, so there was, I think it was 2 years ago, the Prime Minister made this announcement that if you have a property from up to £300,000, right, as a first-time buyer, you do not pay stamp duty on that house.
Yeah.
And the stamp duty starts as little as 3%. Right. Okay. So as a first-time buyer, you don't need to pay stamp duty. But then the pandemic now came, so so with that, anything outside of £300,000, you then start paying stamp duty.
So, for instance, now, if you're buying a property worth of 500,000, right? So the first £300,000, you don't pay any stamp duty on. So you only pay 3% of the £200,000.
So the way now, so what happens, anything beyond that, you start paying stamp duty. There are figures, so there are different rates on it: 3%, 5%, 8%,
okay,
10%, 13%. It goes up. It depends on the size of the house,
of the property
the price you're buying, you're paying for the property. So for the £500,000 one, it's only targeted at the first-time buyers. And the reason why I had to explain what first-time buyers to you earlier, so that people will not jump off the thing and say that, oh yeah, it means I can buy. You need to first of all define, am I actually a first-time buyer for me to partake in this? Now, it's not all sad story. As an investor, right? Say, for example, you already have a property and you're no longer a first-time buyer. You can still qualify, but you're not going to be getting you still pay tax, but it's 3%, right?
Okay, so you pay the lower tax, the lower tax, right?
Yeah, which usually you pay 5%, but 3%. So from zero to £500,000 as a first-time buyer, you do not pay any stamp duty.
So does that have any time? Does it have a deadline? Is that like a deadline to it? You know, with all this holiday payment and all of that thing that they're giving out now, they do have timeline, like they would say by end of whatever. So
so it's up to March next year, 2021, right? Up until March, but they're still talking about maybe they might extend it, right? But we don't know. They can come tomorrow and say they can extend it, so they want to extend it. So for first-time buyers, for the first £500,000, you do not pay stamp duty. So if when you go to like £600,000, then you pay stamp duty on the difference. So £100,000. So if you have £600,000, £500,000, you don't pay stamp duty on, because it's 3% of the value of the property.
Of the value of the property.
It then goes up. It goes up to 5%. It depends on the price, right? You can go on
I think that the stamp duty rates start off from like 2% or something like that. So from the message that you've given tonight, so for our people on the call with us tonight, if you're a first-time buyer, you're looking to buy, to be honest with you, imagine if you're buying a property worth £500,000 or even £400,000. Please, who knows what's the 2% or 3% of 400,000? Do you understand? That's about 80,000 or plus. You know, that's
that's a lot of money.
What you wouldn't have to pay on stamp duty. So I remember when we were buying, it was like stamp duty. I was thinking, this is like buying another house. You understand? And it's also about the value of the property you're buying, as you said, you know. So the higher the value is, the more you pay on stamp duty. So it's 8,000. Thank you, Grace. 8,000 pounds.
Oh.
So imagine that £8,000. By the time we get on to buy to let, you would see why I said it looks like this is money that you can use to buy another property. So if you're a first-time buyer and you're really serious about buying something right now, I mean, David has said to us now that the rule is till end of March next year. Right?
March, next year. They might extend it. We can't tell.
Let's not just work based on, they might extend it, because you just never know, right? So if you're in the position where you can just jump on that right now, please don't delay. Jump on it and get that I will call it discounts, because some people didn't get the opportunity to not pay for it, right? We had to pay for it. Okay. So sorry, David, you wanted to say something.
There's information I need to add to that, though, which is really important. The stamp duty is up to £500,000, right? Sorry, the holiday up to £500,000.
Yeah.
But the question is, are you going to get a mortgage?
Is that from the bank?
Yes, because currently what is happening because of the pandemic, right? So there is hype on that. So there's demand, right? People want to quickly rush, just like you said right now, people want to quickly rush up onto March and buy property and all of that. But then what then happens is, because of the bank, the memory of the most recent recession is still, they are still scarred by it. It's still on their mind about that. So they're kind of like, they are very, very, very strict with their checks. So many banks now, what they're now saying, usually if you want to raise deposit to buy property, let's say £500,000 property, for example, now, 10% is £50,000, which you, on a normal day, you do. But so because the banks are very weary, so they are kind of like, they're not really sure about them. They're not sure what's going to happen to the market, because the Bank of England has also shared that, you know, house prices could drop up to 16%, right? So if bank was to give you £450,000, which is 10%, £90,000 loan to value of that property, right? You raise £50,000. If the house prices now drop by 16%, it means the banks are going to have, you're going to have, obviously, automatically lose majority of your deposit which you are put in the property. And then the bank also, they will now end up with the property like a debt, because it's a headache for them to have property. When they do repossession, they
has dropped.
Yes, so they're not sure if they can get their money back. That's what they want to do. So what they're now saying is, you guys need to raise more money. Don't just raise 10%. So they have actually, majority of the lenders now have actually draw back on this 90% loan to value. So they encourage people to save at least 15% or 20% deposit, and they will give you the rest as a mortgage.
So basically, as a first-time buyer who is interested in buying a property of £500,000, right? you're no longer, even there was a time that we used to have the 95% mortgage, right? Where you only need to raise 5%. But that's not that's no longer in play, right? So you have to raise about 10%. And what you're saying now is that, oh, do you know what? You should raise, if you can, try to raise more than 10% because of what the situation is at the moment. Correct?
Yes,
right?
correct.
So
yeah. The Prime Minister, in addition to that, the Prime Minister has now come again. What the Prime Minister actually said about 2-3 weeks ago, what he said is, because he has sensed this, now what the stamp duty saving, which they have saved people money from, what is now cost for lenders is that people are rushing to buy property. We don't know if they can even afford it. Maybe they're just only coming to so they need to raise more money. Now, because there is demand, lenders are not looking to lend unless you can raise 15% or 20%. Now, the government are not saying that our plans are not working. So what can we do? So I made an announcement probably like 2 weeks ago. Oh, can you hear me now? Is that all right? Is that much better? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so I think it's the network.
I can't hear you anymore. I think I've lost you completely.
Wow. Hold on a few seconds. Let's see what's going on here.
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you now. I think you're back.
Is that okay now? Okay, good. Okay. I don't know what you heard last month. So what the Prime Minister have actually done now is also passed is said this. It hasn't confirmed yet. Good news for first-time buyers again is we are going to now, you bank or lenders, instead of you guys to be fearful and reluctant to loan money to first-time buyers, we will guarantee that you are safe, will protect you. So first-time buyers now, you don't need to raise 15% or 10%. You can even raise 5%. So, which means you raise deposit of 5%, right? Deposit of 5%, and then you get a loan to value of 95%. That's what the Prime Minister said, but he hasn't confirmed that yet. I don't know if you can see me or hear me. I think the internet is playing up somehow. Let's try and see this.
Yeah, I can hear you. You're coming in and out.
Can you hear me?
But I can hear you.
Okay, good. I don't know what you heard last, but I don't know.
No. So you were saying that I think you're going to the Help to Buy loan. You were talking about the government said you should raise 5%.
Oh, it's not the Help to Buy. Oh, this is a new one.
Okay.
Which means that as a first-time buyer, you no longer need to think about 10% deposit or 15% deposit. You can raise 5% deposit, and then you get a mortgage of 95%. So it's not a loan, but the Prime Minister has not given the details of that yet on how it's going to work. It's not a loan. It's not a loan
for out yet, right?
Yeah, he announced it 2 weeks ago. He said he's going to do it, but it's a promise. He said he's going to.
So is that going to be a grant then? So if it's not a loan, then it will be a grant.
It's not a grant. The interesting part of it is it's also a good news for first-time buyers. That instead of you trying to raise, so there was an issue, the issue of lenders lending money. So, for example, let's say we find a property for £100,000.
Yeah.
Normally, you need to raise 10%, which is £10,000.
Correct. Yeah.
And then you get a loan to value, which is LTV, loan to value, which is value of the property, and then you get a loan, a mortgage of £90,000.
Yeah.
Is that's clear, right? So what then happened now is because of the stamp duty holiday, there's lot of demand. There's a lot of demand for property and for lenders, for people to go and get a mortgage. But lenders are reluctant to borrow because they are saying that we need to save our own backs. Because we don't want to get in the top of people using. Exactly. So what they're now saying is that what we're going to do is we want these people to commit more so that to test if they can actually afford property anyways in the first place. Don't raise 10% because if you raise 10%, we might not give you that. Raise 15 or 20%.
Yeah.
Now, the government now noticed that that is happening and they're now saying that, wow, what can we do now? Let us now, we have already given an incentive to first-time buyer of stamp duty holiday up until March next year. Let's now support the lenders as well. They now said, okay, let us now step in. Instead of you guys asking them for 15% or 20% to raise, we are going to guarantee you that we are going to support you guys, the lenders now.
So, okay, so you're saying that the government wants to support the lenders, not the borrower now, not the person.
Not the borrower,
Because there's a question here. Somebody says, role model says, what's the catch in it? And I think, that's a very good question because you can't just, it sounds a little bit off that
it hasn't gone in. He hasn't given us the details yet. That was what the Prime Minister said. I think it was maybe 2 Thursdays ago. He announced that for first-time buyers. So basically, instead of he wants to support the lenders, then so that to say that what we're going to do is don't even ask them for 15%. Don't ask them for 10%.
Really?
Let them raise 5%. We will protect you guys. Loan them 95%. Don't forget what happens when there is recession. They want to encourage spending, right? They want to encourage spending. So exactly. So they are saying that don't worry, we will back you guys up. We'll support you with what? I don't know. Anyways, so let them raise 5%. Right? Let them raise 5% and then you give them 95%. If the property should drop in value, we will support you. I don't know how they're going to do that. I don't know what they're going to do. But the good thing is there is good news for first-time buyers that you might not end up needing to raise 10%, 5%. You might still be able to buy property.
Fantastic.
Which is £400,000.
So thank you very much, David, for that. So Ayodele said, I think this is, when is this going to be confirmed? I mean, I think you answered that in terms of,
I don't know.
We don't know yet.
We don't know.
Falake said that they have pledged to do it, but not release the details yet. That is how they will in practice give the banks the guarantee. And you know what? The thing is, it's so true. They're trying so hard to help people. And to be honest, if you're a first-time buyer and you're really serious about it, I would say just stay glued to the news to find out when this thing come out, because it will be good. This is opportunity that wasn't there even last year. It wasn't available last year. So I'd say that take advantage of it as soon as the details are released. And Soja says that, can you get it with poor credit? I'm sure no one can answer that yet if we don't have the details.
The way you can buy property with poor credit, but we'll talk about that later.
All right, cool. So so it's good to talk about that. So Susan My Cake says, doesn't that just mean that the government guarantees the loan if the buyer is unable to meet up with repayment? Susan, I agree with you. I am thinking that is what it is, right? It's just like the bounce back loan that they are giving to self-employed, like the self-employed individuals, right? Because they are providing that guarantee. So that means if you're, for whatever reason, unable to pay, remember, your agreement is between you and the bank. So the government is now trying to step in to say, in the case that you're unable to pay, we will pay back the bank. And then you have to go and sort out your issues.
That could be the case. But I don't know.
Exactly.
We don't know. It only announced it. It hasn't said how is this going to... It just said first-time buyer because they really want properties to go.
All right, Mr. Flat. sorry people. So for those that didn't join early, if you hear me calling Mr. Flat, that's the name. I just can't call him any other name. It's Mr. Flat. So if you want to find out why, after this you can watch the replay. There's a question here from I am Adewale. It says that, hi, please, could you please discuss the effect of credit rating on mortgage purchases as well? So that is fantastic. That is a very, very interesting question. And I think that I remember before we got any property at all, it was a case of, oh, your credit rating, if it isn't excellent, you can't buy any mortgage, you have to. And I found out that that wasn't true, because they could have just made it very simple and say, okay, if you have a bad credit rating, it just means that the interest rate that you will get will be very high. I mean, that's a different message to you can't even get a mortgage at all. You know, so can you please respond to that? So how does credit rating affect the process of getting a mortgage?
Exactly the same question someone asked me today. Actually, I had a session with someone which I asked me the same thing today. And I said, credit rating is a distraction. It's a distraction, and it's something that they built. The system built that, right? They built that. It's a system like they are built and say, this is how we want things to work. It has to be in this, and then box people so that they will not think. All right, like students can't buy property in the UK. It's a lie, but there are 3 different ways you can do that. Anyways, credit rating, just like BB did mention, when the credit rating is low, it doesn't mean you can't get. You might be limited to the lenders that might want to lend you money, and it will even be difficult now, even harder because of the pandemic. But the interest rates will be right. But then, other than that, there are many ways you can buy property without even thinking about credit rates, right? There are many ways. I don't know if we have the time to go over it, but I'm just going to share maybe a couple right here. All right, is that okay?
I think you should share one, because we have other questions that I want us to touch on before we go. And believe it or not, we are over 30 minutes gone already.
All right, time. All right, so
exactly.
So you can buy property with someone like joint venture. If you find somebody that is trustworthy, or like somebody that you know, or maybe companies are already existing, you can buy. They can host for you, right? They host that mortgage for you, and then you have what you call on the property. You have you put a charge on the house, so it can't be sold without you. That's one way. There's no credit checks done on you. That's one way.
So yeah, so that's the way. If you have a very bad credit rating and you want to get a property, so you're saying that a way to go about it might be to go into a joint venture with someone, or a few people that you know, right? But I'm sure that there are probably other ways that you can buy for yourself on your own, depending on how bad your credit rating is, to be honest, right? Because there are still some lenders out there. Of course, this is saying this before the whole pandemic. The pandemic has changed the game completely. So that is the reality. We can't shy away from that, right? So if you're a bank, you're giving money out to people in this age and time. Even if a friend were to walk up to you and ask you to please lend them some money, you'll be thinking, okay, so when are you going to pay back? And whenever they say they're going to pay back, are you sure you're going to be able to pay back? COVID is still out there. We don't know what's going to happen. So it's just the same thing that we as individuals would take, the same caution that we would take, that the banks are taking. So yeah, on the credit rating one, I think, to be honest, we can spend another hour talking about credit rating, because credit rating is so I say that it is so specific to you. Like, you know your own credit rating. And even sometimes, even though you have the excellent rating as well, it doesn't necessarily mean that you get the best deal out there. So for me, I see credit rating as the vehicle to you getting the best deals. You know, either you get it or not, depends on your credit rating. That's the simplest way I can explain it. There's a question here from our own Mr. Shego. So he said that, would this apply to people that just applied for the mortgage? I believe that question was that question relates to the mortgage guarantee that you were talking about earlier, in terms of the one that the government are still yet to release the details. So for people who have applied currently, do you think when they bring out the details of the new guarantee, do you think it would apply to them? I don't think so, because remember when that stamp duty holiday came out, people who just bought property, as who literally just signed the papers in that same week, couldn't apply for it.
Well, you need to check if you could claim it back. You never know. It's always good to ask. So for what Mr. Shegun actually asked, yeah, you know, when we first started, I did mention again, what is the definition of first-time buyer? To answer your question, we need to find out, are you a first-time buyer or not? And it is not because first-time buyer, define that. So what all these things that we're talking about right now, it's all based on if you are a first-time buyer or not. If you meet their criteria as a first-time buyer, then all these things will be open to you. But if you don't, it's a different thing entirely, right? It's a different thing entirely. So for the stamp duty holiday, investors or someone that is buying second property or so, they benefit from it, but they just pay less. So they pay 3%. So it's 3%. 3%, yeah.
So thank you for that. So going back to that mortgage guarantee again. Someone asked about, what about Wales? You know, because I mean, what we're talking about here, does it apply to Wales as well, or do they have?
You mean the stamp duty holiday? You mean?
No, not the stamp duty holiday. The first-time buyer guarantee.
Oh, we don't know. That's the thing. You know, we don't know yet. He just announced. You know, when these politicians they make an announcement. You know that we are going to do this. Everybody is hyping up, but until they pass the whole thing and say we confirmed it. I mean, during this pandemic, they also announced something that businesses. We are going to give you like a grant of maybe I think £5,000 or so for you to be able to equip yourself, like technology and anything. We didn't hear anything about that anymore, because there are many things flying everywhere. It said that you cannot go and Google it, and but it hasn't confirmed how the whole thing is gonna go yet. Once it confirms, then obviously no more. And how it's gonna, as a matter of fact, investors, and those people are looking to buy other property, buy second homes as well. We also want to benefit from this. But it seems like the Prime Minister has like a soft spot for first-time buyers and is encouraging first-time buyers. But first-time buyers that meet their own terms based on how they define first-time buyers. So if you have to meet the criteria of the first-time buyer defined by the government.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. There's a question from Tutu. So she said that what's my advice for a first-time buyer like her going for a new build? So Tutu, first of all, I would say I live in a new build, you know. So, and to be honest, I wouldn't change it for the world, right? I'll do the same thing. And by the way, there is also, but I think this is closing by end of the year, if I'm right. There is the 5% help to buy loan that was out before. So I'm not sure if it's ending by end of this year or next year. But yeah, I would say that if you put your figures together, you put your numbers together, and it works, you find a nice place. The only thing I would say is make sure the developers are real people, as in read up on them, read reviews on them, because it's very important that you go with the right developers. I mean, I don't know if David, if you have anything else to add to that in terms of a first-time buyer going for a new build.
Well, new builds, I don't have anything against new builds. I live in new builds as well, you know, BB as well.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but then you have to work with someone that, like, you know, when we first started as well, I said when you go to the shops and you set your eyes on some product or something, or maybe your shoes or something like that, you'll get a salesperson to come in to kind of like talk you through which one you go for.
Yeah.
First-time buyers tend to buy with emotions. And I learned this after, it is true, and I learned this after I started going into investments in property myself. Buy with your head, not only your emotions. When you are buying with your emotion as well, you don't even see when the price that they're giving to you is £200,000 over what the property is valued is actually worth. That's what new builds are.
So do you know it's interesting you said that, because how, as a first-time buyer, right? How would you be able to tell if the property that the value they are giving you for the property is more than the actual value? Do you understand? Because as a first-time buyer, you probably don't have that experience.
Which is why I said you need to work with people that can help.
They can't hear.
Oh,
can you hear me? Can everyone hear us now? I think so. Just say. Can you hear? If you can hear us, please let us know. Someone says can't seem to hear, but yeah. Let's keep going. There is another question here. And,
let me finish with one of the new builds.
So
they can hear now.
Thank you, ladies.
So the good thing about new builds is that, so when I said you need to work with someone, is you need to work with professionals, someone that already know about it, or people that have been there and they can explain to you. Your new builds, right? Your new build, your property, my new build as well. Thank God we bought it in the right location.
Yeah.
If you buy new builds in the wrong location, you have just gotten yourself into trouble.
Do you know what, Tutu? Can I say to you, Tutu, please, let's talk after this. Whatever questions you've got on it, as I said, we live in new build. We've been here for over 2 years now, so I've got all the information that I can give you, and also I can get you. You can speak to David as well because you know him as well. So because honestly, with this thing, you probably stay on forever trying to talk about.
I did a YouTube recording on that. Anyways, on that.
So there is a question. I didn't want to miss it. So the Soja says that, or Soja, I think it's Soja. I want to pronounce it very well. So the person says, will being on benefits due to COVID-19 affect our ability to get mortgage? That's an interesting question.
Being on benefits doesn't, well, if you start on benefits, yes, of course, they want to check if you can afford to buy the property. You know, or especially in this current situation that we are in right now, you have to be able to prove that you can pay for that. I mean, the lenders want to make money. That's how they want to borrow you money. But they just want to be sure that you can afford to pay it back. They want to have that peace of mind. So if you're on benefit and you want to buy property by mortgage, you might struggle. But there are other ways.
I mean, yeah,
there are other things you can do, which I could share later as well.
So yeah,
on how you can buy property without mortgage.
So for the person that asked that question, I would say that please reach out to David, honestly, because with this property journey, it's like you have to, which is why they always ask you to come for a one-on-one kind of session where you can lay your life bare on the table to them to say, okay, this is where I am right now. This is how much I earn, and this is what I do, and all of that. They can see what they'll be able to work out for you. So, for like I said on the new build, she said there's always a premium on new builds. So the question is how huge that margin is in relation to other similar existing builds in the same location. Exactly. And Grace said the same thing. She said some new build enter into negative equity. That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right.
That happens. So you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Mr. Flat, honestly, I am so conscious of time. I'm looking at the time and believe it, we have just about 10 minutes left. Just about 10 minutes left. I'm telling you, honestly, I'm not even sure we can cover everything tonight. So, do you know, there is yes, honestly, I agree with you. See, someone just says that I think we need a session on how to buy a property without mortgage. Remember, this is so interesting. Remember, that was what I told you.
Oh, we're talking about. We're gonna talk about.
That was what I told you.
Okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to talk about it? It's
Do you know what? Actually, let's do it. Let's do it properly, right? let's plan another session, because as I said, we have less than 10 minutes for this to end, and I don't want us to come back again. I mean, we said we'll just stick to an hour. Let's do another session. And as yes, Grace says, please DM David for that, you know, because that is, people want to know. Do you understand? Before we bought our property, if someone told me how to buy a property without mortgage or something, I'll run and find out how. And I know that you've said that before. And remember, we said it that we should do how to buy a property without a mortgage. And yes, so thank you so much. Honestly, this has been so good. With property, it's just like when you're talking about finance or you're talking about business, you never get enough time to cover all the areas that you want to cover. But you know, the good thing is that the Ellsworth property, I've got a summit next week. That is
we have a summit on next week, the 20 I'm jumping. It's not 20, it's 14, is it 15th or 16? I don't even remember the date again. I know it's next Saturday and Sunday. What day is next Saturday falling to again? People, somebody check the calendar.
Next Saturday is going to be well, today is 7th. It's going to be 14th or 15th or something like that.
Yeah, so we have Saturday. I know. I'll do the talk and do the investment thing. Let other people do the back work and all of that.
So it's the 14th. Thank you so much, ladies. So it's the 14th and the 15th of November. So next week, right?
So we are going to be having we have about 8 to 10 professionals coming. We're gonna be doing like similar to what we have right now. We're gonna be asking questions. So it's 2 days, 14th and 15th, and we have about 8 of them or 10. So we're gonna have asset agents. We're gonna have property professionals that are actually doing it. We're gonna have accountants. We're gonna have I think we might have a broker. I'm not sure. We're gonna have solicitor as well.
So you're probably gonna have like the right people, or the people that you need. So for when you're buying a property, you will have a broker, you have an accountant, you have a solicitor, you have the estate agent, and all of those people. So you have all those people in the room on the same day. Do you know?
One room.
I can only say that kind of a session, you don't want to miss it. You just want to be there, because there will be so many questions that they will be able to answer, and it's over Zoom, so there's no issue with like it's only at 1 hour and you can't cover some things. And I think Soja said they missed the answer to the benefits question. So I think we said that of course you're on benefits, that will have some implications, you understand, but the truth is you need to just reach out to David and let him talk you through. Because the truth, we can't really address it. You think about it, you're on benefits, right? Due to any reason whatsoever. But at the same time, you now want to borrow money. Because when you're buying a property on mortgage, you always have to see it as you're borrowing money. So just the way you will go to a friend to borrow you some money, that friend needs some assurances to be sure that you're able to pay back the money. And that's exactly what the banks are doing. So if your financial situation isn't as great or isn't promising, they would look at it and say, okay, yes, as much as we want to give you, regardless of whatever reports or credits rating you've got before, the fact that right now you're out of a job, you are on benefits, you can't sustain yourself. So the chances of them releasing any money to you to buy a property, by the way, it's very slim. So so someone has asked, how do they register for the summit? I think there is a link that people can register. Grace, please, can you help and put that link into the comment section, please, section, so that people can register there. I have registered as well. I mean,
I shared the post after the.
You know, it's so interesting because I wanted us to talk about buying a property on buy-to-let, building buy-to-let portfolio. You know, I wanted us to talk about it because I mean that's where we are now, right? So it is very important. Of course, with the time that we've got, we can't cover that today. So we might have to just maybe next time just focus on buy-to-let, you know. So, and that would be, because I think I saw a question earlier. Someone says that we need a session for second buyers, second time
second
buyers.
buyers as well. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, because that's
another interesting one as well.
That's another interesting one. Actually, there was a question that came to me yesterday. I don't know if you can quickly answer this. Someone said that they okay, yes, thank you, B. So that's the link to register for the summit. Please go on there and register. It will be very useful to you. Yes, we're bringing him back. He's definitely coming back. He doesn't have anywhere he's going to. His house is just next to my house here. He doesn't have anywhere he's going to. So yeah, the question was that they are currently in a property that they're looking to sell and buy a new one. So they were now looking whether it is the right time to sell, or maybe, I think, I'm trying to remember if they said that they were maybe they're thinking of keeping the property and buy a new one, or sell the current property to buy a new one, which is the best, and then if it's the right time to do so. I think that was what the question was.
You can do both. You can do both. You can sell. This is the time to sell because there's demand, obviously, and because the demand is out now. Houses come. I should, but houses are many houses are overpriced. If I put that way, because when there is demand.
Yeah,
I did some session on Facebook some time ago. When there is demand, supply see that there's demand, and say, "Ooh, you guys want something? Let's start hyping it up, right?" So and then you could. So there's many houses that are overpriced right now, currently. So this is the time for you to sell if you want to sell. It's also the time to buy if you know what to buy and when to buy it and where to buy rather. So where to buy it, yeah. If you know where to buy it, and yeah, this is also time to buy as well. But if we were to buy, I would say work with somebody that can guide you through it, so that you know where you could. There are ways you can buy property, and you will not actually fall into that category of people that buy overpriced property.
Overpriced property. Thank you for that. Grace, don't worry. B has sent the link. I can see the link at the top there, so she's posted it. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Honestly, you know, I did say that it is quite challenging. You know, people they tell you it is so difficult to buy a property and all of that. But I have to say, and this is the honest truth, apart from the administration bit, which is like bring payslip, bring SA302, bring bank statement and all those things, sign this paper, sign those papers. Apart from that, the whole process, honestly, I mean, for us, myself and my husband, it wasn't as bad. Do you understand? It's just that you just need that time. The session that we'll have next will be on buy to let. That one, trust me, if I can pay anyone to just go on and do all the work and everything, I will do it. But you know, it is not as bad as people say it is. You know, as long as you plan. So the key word is plan ahead for it. So you can't just sleep and wake up tomorrow and decide, oh, I want to buy a property. That's where the challenges comes in from. That's when you start to feel like, oh my God, it's too overwhelming. I'm going to. But imagine if you had like even if it's 6 months to plan ahead. So you get all the information that you need and you start to plot them down. This is why you need to consult the people that know about it. So thank you all so very much for joining. Our countdown is on already. Mr. Flat, you know how we do it. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
People really want to hear more, and yes, let's work on you coming back to talk about buy to let and second time buyers as well. You know,
great.
There are so
join
many...
the summit.
Yeah, things exactly. You can ask. So if you please try and go in for the summit as well, because you probably you get more information from there. It's going to be over 2 days, and you'll be able to ask the questions that you have and know. And for the people who can't even join for whatever reason, trust me, you're probably going to be happy that you joined. So Mr. Flat, thank you. You have gone viral. Everyone is calling you Mr. Flat now. Thank you. So quickly, we have 52 seconds or 50 seconds. So Ayodele says, what is your YouTube page, please?
It's just type Adewale David Adewale there on YouTube.
So on YouTube, it is David Adewale David. So please don't forget to register. Thank you so much. See, they have upgraded your name. It's not Mr. Flat, Mr. Duplex. Ah, what? See, your name has been upgraded. So from Flat to Duplex. Guys, honestly, I so much love you all. Thank you so much for joining us. David, thank you. As I said, you know, I can't thank you enough. We'll come back again, do this again, so that people can be blessed by it. And of course, if you have any other questions that you want to ask before the day, let us know.